Hi, everyone. Welcome to the next edition of the Bostrom b.Cast, where we talk about trends and current happenings in the association industry with people who are making an impact. Today's guest is Jay Karen, Chief Executive Officer for the National Golf Course Owners Association. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you so much. Glad to be with you guys.
I like to start these conversations exploring the path that led you to your role today as CEO. It seems many of us fall into the association world in roundabout ways. So tell us how you got here.
Yeah, I know we're trying to change that at ASAE so that the people are intentional about association careers, but people my age, there was no awareness of associations back in the 90s like there may be today, hopefully. But so my path was circuitous, like everybody else. I intended to be a high school social studies teacher. And I moved to Charleston, South Carolina in 1997 to get my master's in history, because at that time in 1997, if you had your bachelor's degree and you became a first-year teacher, your salary was $19,000 a year. If you had your master's degree, it was $21,000 a year. And you kind of always stayed ahead on the curve. And so I was like, well, I got to get my master's. And so I enrolled at the College of Charleston, and I needed a little bit of money to help this poor grad student. So I had a very close friend of mine from college whose mother worked for this association called the National Golf Course Owners Association, which had a little office near Sullivan's Island here in the Charleston area. And I started working for them part-time. And then after 2 weeks of part-time, they said, hey, we'd love to have you full-time. I thought, this is pretty cool. This association thing is cool. It's golf, which I actually happened to love at the time, certainly. And I thought, well, I can go to part-time with my school. And so I changed directions. And I stayed with NGCOA for 10 years. Quickly I became, which hopefully your listeners will appreciate, I became a student of the association profession quickly. This was in golf, but I knew this was association work. And so I jumped into ASAE when I was barely 25 years old, 24, 25, and started that pathway. And started taking it seriously. So I was director of membership here at NGCOA for 7 of those years. And by time 2006, 2007 was coming around, I was ready to kind of jump ship and become a CEO somewhere. And then I left NGCOA and I became the CEO for the organization. My first job as CEO at 33 for the bed and breakfast industry of all places. It was so cool.
Oh, wow.
It was so awesome. So I moved from Charleston, South Carolina to Philadelphia, and had an amazing run in that industry for 6, 7, 8 years. And they got recruited back to NGCOA as the CEO in 2015. So I've been back at NGCOA for almost 10 years now as the CEO. So that's my little journey.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And bed and breakfast. I can't even imagine those board meetings. Were they always at a bed and breakfast, or did you have to go?
Oftentimes, yeah. We'd have them at inns, our member inns, which was fun. And innkeepers were just an awesome group of people. And they came from all walks of life. And I remember at one board meeting, one of my innkeepers was crocheting or knitting a blanket in the board meeting. I thought, all right, this doesn't happen in most board meetings, but let's go with it, right?
Right.
It was awesome. It was a great experience.
That's great. That's great. Okay. In January of 2025, in your January 2025 Golf Business column, you cite data from the National Golf Foundation that in the last 20 years, there was a 20% decrease in public golf courses in America, and that screen golf has exploded with more than 2,200 simulated golf joints around the country. I'd love to get your perspective on how technology, trends like simulators and AI, may affect the game in the future.
Yeah, so let's take those two topics separately, and let's talk about kind of the darling of the industry right now. 10 years ago, the darling of the industry was Topgolf, this new thing. Like, what is Topgolf, right? And this, you're swinging a golf club, but you're surrounded by new kinds of technology where you're aiming at these alien things out there, 2 or 3 level driving ranges, a computer screen where you can watch everything, and lots of great food and beverage, of different vibe around golf. And we thought, all right, the traditional golf industry at the time thought, how is this going to impact us, the green grass industry? Are they going to steal business from us? Are they complementary? We don't know really what's happening here. And I had the posture that anything that puts a golf club in someone's hand is good, right? Anything. It just gets them swinging and enjoying this. And at the time, Jeanne, what I encouraged green grass owners to really consider was don't ask what is Top Golf going to do for me. You got to look at that and say, what are they doing that I can emulate at my golf course? Why are they attracting so many young people, really young people, diverse people, all of this, and charging a pretty penny for that food and beverage and all that? What can we do at golf courses? And the technology was there between simulators and what's called Top Tracer Range was a new technology that allows golf courses to gamify their driving ranges to make covered bays with the same kind of technology you see at Top Golf. In fact, that technology is owned by Top Golf in this case. And so we're trying to be bullish about golf course owners and operators using this technology at their facilities. So fast forward now, and Top Golf has become more ubiquitous, and it really is it is more of an entertainment place than it is a place where golfers go to scratch their itch, for sure. And then now we have, like you said, over 2,000 of these simulator locations. In Korea, they call them golf cafes. There's over 5,000 in South Korea. And you've got 5 to 10 simulators, which are these giant screens, 8-foot by 12-foot screens where you're hitting the ball into the screen. And so it marries up this technology experience that kids kind of came out of the womb with, this last generation. But they're playing golf, and it's an easy point of entry for people that love the game. How do I get into this as a business? Because it's just too expensive to build daily fee courses anymore, the lower end. So the supply mix in our industry is going to be a mix of green grass and technology for sure. And we're trying to figure out, how do we build connective tissue between the two? How do you maybe start the simulator places and then say, okay, I want to graduate and go outside and take this outside? And maybe vice versa. How do we cross-pollinate the two populations? Because in America right now, there are more people playing off-course golf than there are on-course golf. So we've got a job ahead of us to figure out, how do we bring this all together holistically so that everyone benefits? So that's the darling right now. So it's exciting. It's really exciting, and I'm grateful for that. On the AI front, still remains to be seen a little bit. I think some operators are using ChatGPT to help with some marketing copy and all that. But we do see a couple of entrants into the market, particularly in the tee time booking space. We've got 2 competing AI companies that have phone attendants. So you call the golf course and it's an AI attendant talking to you and walking you through making a tee time. And that, which is pretty awesome because it frees up the staff to do other hospitality things at the golf course. So you don't have to answer the phone. What remains to be seen that we got to work on here is, this is where the role of an association comes in on this, instead of watching this happen, is we have to ask, where is the AI attendant getting the tee time? Is it directly with the golf course's booking engine, so they're getting a direct booking possibility, or is it with a third-party tee time provider like Golf Now or others that might be the like the Expedias and Booking.coms for golf? Where is that booking coming from, and how do we control it or influence it so that the owner-operators are getting the best possible connectivity with the customer, right? So our association leans in when we see these things happening in the marketplace.
Wow, that is fascinating. It reminds, I love the idea of just embracing, whether it's simulators, whether it's AI, just embracing it. And trying to figure out how do we improve things based on it. We manage what used to be called the Tennis Industry Association, and now it's the Racket Industry Research Group. And so, as what happened is all of the tennis changed, right? The game changed, paddle tennis and all. The whole world changed with that. So it's more about how do you integrate these new things and new ideas and and get the young people and continue to grow it. Even if something like a simulator changes it, it could increase golf. It could outdoor golf.
Absolutely.
It could.
Yeah, and simulators are a low embarrassment place to try the game. Honestly, a lot of people that don't play golf have a healthy fear of embarrassing themselves or not, knowing what the culture is at the golf course, and so they just don't go sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? We have an amazing number of people in our latent demand category, people in America who say, yeah, I'm interested in golf, but don't pull the trigger, right? And what we found in the Korean example is that golf simulator places, the golf cafes, are an easy point of entry. Schools take their kids to the simulator places to learn to play golf, and there's no embarrassment because it's just a little looser. The culture's different.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
It's
so
more,
on the AI front, I would say for associations, though, and in golf in particular, like my members we don't have a lot of good data in our industry at the golf course level, and I wonder if a lot of associations kind of share that as well. They can't capture a lot of really good data at their operations level at the trade associations. My hope is that AI, maybe we've been lazy and waited long enough, that AI will help us by working with the software providers in our industry to capture the data that we need to kind of measure the activities in our industry. Instead of relying on our members to submit data, I'm hoping, and maybe we'll work on getting AI infused into the information and KPIs of our industry to be able to report out better information.
Yeah, absolutely. Or maybe it helps the operators report out easier and
exactly
automatically.
That's what we want.
But yeah. No, that's interesting. Has your membership model evolved in recent years to meet changing needs? Like you talked about engaging new owners or new or younger people in the profession, but like, has that changed your membership model at the association?
It's changing. Yes. It's not changing our model in the sense of what we offer and how much we charge. And, when people think of membership model, they think of the offering and how we dice it up a little bit. What it's done for us is two changes are happening in the golf industry that have caused us to change our bylaws as an organization to then now go into the market with some membership offerings. So NGCO was founded by people who own public golf courses. So if you and your family owned a public golf course in the middle of Illinois, we would be kind of your association. That's how we were born. We since expanded. We have private clubs, public courses of all kinds, from the Pebble Beach Resort down to the 9-hole, family farm golf course, and municipal operations. But municipalities, and there are about 3,000 municipal golf courses in America, and these are those that are run by city parks and recreation divisions, right? And they were kind of a second-class citizen in our industry for a long time. And we changed our bylaws to embrace them and welcome them and serve them, because we see where the puck is going from a supply side in our industry. You mentioned at the beginning that the number of public golf courses has been shrinking over time. It's not because these courses are failing, it's because of development opportunities. If you owned your golf course for 50 years and you were kind of ready to sell, maybe the kids didn't want to take it over and you're near a population center, you might be worth $3 million as a golf course. But you might be worth $20 million to a home builder to come in there and buy and build homes if you have the right zoning. So a lot of course closures were tied to redevelopment use and cashing out, kind of thing. But that's going to continue for the next 50 years. When you look at golf courses that might close down, the private clubs really insulate themselves very well. Municipal courses are not shutting down. In fact, they're growing their portfolios by sometimes gobbling up the ones that want to sell. And so when you see the shrinking of the daily fee privately owned golf course and you see the expansion of screen golf, it kind of calls into question, what is the future supply going to be like in the industry? So what we did was we expanded to welcome municipalities and serve them. So we've got now specialty services for them. We have an advisory committee and all of that, and we're well underway. And the second is these screen golf locations, golf cafes. They're not golf courses per se, but it's digital golf. You're playing golf on digital golf courses. Nobody would have imagined this 50 years ago when NGCOA was created. So we actually allow them to join NGCOA, but we're exploring through ad hoc committees, do we really want to go out there and serve them and almost set them up as a community within NGCOA? Do we feel there's enough in common with the green grass course? Do we want to embrace them and serve them? And will they feel like, yeah, we belong in the Golf Course Owners Association? So we're exploring that right now. So to answer your question, yes, these supply changes are changing how we are approaching membership.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that is fascinating. I mean, golf is golf, right?
Yes, it is. But, I guess it goes down to the cultural discussion of associations and memberships. If you own a 8 simulator bay, in a strip mall in Charleston here, and you got food and beverage, and you got people paying monthly membership fees to hit balls into a screen. If the Golf Course Owners Association said, hey, we've got a membership for you and we've got a community for you of other people, would you feel like, yeah, this is my place? And so we're exploring that right now. So the cultural question is important.
Yeah, could you deliver value to those types of members?
Exactly.
And what is it? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and just listening to them to find out.
Yeah, that's what we're doing now.
That's awesome. Many association CEOs are trying to gauge the best way to navigate, recent political, economic, social changes happening rapidly in our world every day. How do you manage change? Because it really is all about managing change for your staff, for your members, for the industry. Are there any forecasts or tools, or how do you navigate today's world?
Wow. I mean, change management, to me, when I look back on my career, has been, it's the most harrowing part of being an association CEO, but it's also the most rewarding when you see the other side of that change, right? And I keep a quote behind my desk that says, a smooth sea never made a skillful sailor, right? and it's a reminder that, I've become a better executive through change management. But how did we do that? Well, one is, we had to establish clarity. What are we trying to accomplish? Clarity around what's on the other side we're trying to get. With the board of directors, with my staff, in these cases as well, I've had to change staff when I've taken over an association and change staff to really make sure that I have a team that's on board with what we're going after. And those are hard changes, but changes that have to be made sometimes. And so being clear with what we're trying to accomplish, I think, is number one most important thing. But as far as tools are concerned, now I'm immersed in ASAE, right? So I'm very familiar with the Research Foundation's work on Foresight. And to me, it's the best work ASAE's come out with in the 25 years or more I've been involved in the organization. That the ForesightWorks, the tools that they have, train you and your board to make sure that you are looking at what's coming in America and how it's going to intersect your profession, your trade, your association, your members, and making sure that's part of your discussions strategically. So they have a prescription and a program to do that, and they've identified the biggest change drivers happening in society that every association exec should look at. So I encourage anybody to check that out. What it's done for us, we might not be using it in a prescriptive way, but because I've been aware of it, I've read it, I'm chair of the foundation, so I feel obligated to make sure that I'm looking at it, is I make sure that we have at our board level, at the board meetings, we don't do staff reports and all that stuff. We have generative discussions about what's happening now and what we anticipate happening in our industry. So we've retooled our board meetings to have the lion's share of our agenda be discussions about all of these things. That's really important. And then for me, I'm the tool looking at, I'm a tool. I'm the tool looking out. I feel like it's my job, and I do try to make sure that the staff, that I model this for a lot of the senior staff especially, is like I read the Wall Street Journal every Saturday morning. The Saturday Wall Street Journal covers society, culture, consumerism, books, politics, everything, and fashion, even fashion. Just I read this stuff and filter it and synthesize it for what might be happening in my industry. And I do this with this publication and others, and I'm constantly trying to synthesize and bring that. I feel like that's my job, is to do that, is to be looking around the corner, what's happening, to stay 2 steps ahead of my members when I'm looking at what's happening, but back up a step and stay 1 step ahead of them with what I talk to them about. Because if you're 2 steps ahead and you're talking about being 2 steps ahead, you've lost them. So if you can stay 1 step ahead and let them know what's happening, what's coming, then they'll look to you. You'll be their resource for change management in their lives, right? What did Jay and NGCOA say about the changes with tariffs and what's going to be happening here? The impact on the golf industry or the future or the economy. If we get into a recession, what should we be doing to prepare for that? Jay, tell us that. That's kind of what I feel our role is at NGCOA.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. That's great advice for any CEO, executive director. Okay, I want to shift a little bit to your volunteerism. We've talked about that a couple of times, your role at ASAE. So in celebration of National Volunteer Month, as we are in April right now, you volunteered to talk to me for this podcast, which I greatly appreciate.
My pleasure.
So can you talk a little bit more about your ASAE role and any other volunteer roles and what those experiences are like?
Oh, yeah. So when I'm in a room full of ASAE people, I feel akin to them because we're all joiners. It's like we as association execs, we know who the joiners are and who those we've got to climb into the tree and get to join the organization. And thankfully, ASAE has a cohort and a rich population of joiners ourselves, right? And so So to jump in and be around people when I was 24, 25 years old, my first volunteer role at ASAE was on the membership section council, because I was probably a new director of membership. I thought, if I surround myself with other membership professionals, I'm going to learn something here, right? And I get to contribute to what the ASAE, whatever ASAE is doing. And so the first several years through ASAE, and I'll kind of limit my volunteerism to that context because I do volunteer in other things, but I was a student first. I was just soaking everything up. And that is a form of volunteering in a way, and that you're showing up, you're learning. And in many cases in classrooms, before the online revolution, you're participating in discussions with other people. There's a volunteerism about even just being a student, because you're volunteering to be there. And then once I had some experiences under my belt, I felt confident that I could teach a thing or two. Because we had success at what we were doing at NGCOA in the membership department. Then I put myself out there to teach, and I would, submit proposals, and I taught at the ASAE annual meetings. I'd help write articles or things, or be interviewed for articles. So I started contributing to the body of knowledge. And then when you're, as I mentioned early on, I wanted to be a teacher. So in my teaching, I took it all very seriously in a way that I wanted to make sure I brought humor, insight, all of these things to when I had a classroom in front of me. And I guess I did well enough that I just kept getting asked to do things, which was great. So over a long period of time, I would be asked to do things, but I also sought to be part of other things. Like when I became a CEO, I was in the executive section or the executive management section council. And I served on anything that I could. I just felt like that's my way of giving back to my profession, was by, volunteering here. And it took a number of years, but about, 5 years ago now, I got invited to be on the ASAE board of directors. And I had served on the ASAE board, which is their for-profit subsidiary, the ASAE Business Services. I was on that board for a couple years. And then I jumped on the board right in COVID time. And there's a lot of change management happening at ASAE. John Graham had just recently passed away. And so there were some leadership transitions happening, and I was on the board long enough to see, Michelle Mason come on board as CEO, and then I got, tapped on the shoulder to consider being an officer, and there we have it. So now, come August, I'll become chair of the organization. So it's been a 26-year journey, I guess, to where I am right now.
Wow, that's amazing. We tell members all the time that you're gonna get out of it what you put into it.
Yes.
And showing up and contributing and learning. And I mean, I love your story, because it helps people to understand the why behind volunteerism. And
I'll add this, that the best friends that I have in this profession, and I have many that I consider really close, came through volunteering. Through volunteering. Yes, I can attend an annual conference. Yes, I'll meet people, but it's who I'm around a table with, being creative with, and going to dinner with afterwards. All of these things. I have lifelong friends through the association profession, and many of which are in my kitchen cabinet. So when I've got an issue, I can go to them for advice and so forth. So when you say you get out of it what you put into it, it's what you get out of it. What I'm going to remember at the end of my career through all this is simply the friendships. And not just, I got this idea from David Gamble, or I got this idea from Scott Steen, or whatever. It's like, those are great, and I love all that, but it's the friendships that persist and last and make life really wonderful. Yeah.
That's great. That's amazing. Okay. We have come to the point in the podcast for our rapid fire Q&A.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you ready? Are you stretching?
I'm getting my back ready.
Swing?
I'm getting ready.
All right, here we go. What is your current state of mind?
Productive. Right now, at this moment in time, things ebb and flow at associations, but we are operating at a high level consistently, and it's bearing fruit. And so it feels like a flywheel right now. So right now, it's just I'm knocking stuff out, which is a good feeling. So highly productive right now.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh, wow. That I had better hair follicles. One thing about, that I would be more adventurous as like a human. Like when I say skydiving, mountain
Like
climbing,
skydiving, like bungee jumping,
that kind of stuff. Like I don't seek thrills. I seek experiences in my life. I'll travel the world. I want to do a lot of things, but I'm not a thrill seeker. Mm-hmm. And so maybe if I could change something about me, that part of my brain might be a little ramped up. Like, go seek these physical, emotional thrills. Seek them out. I don't do that very often.
All right, your friends and family might be appreciative that you're not like that. So, All right, what is your favorite word?
My favorite word is equanimity, and it's not used nearly enough. And equanimity is like being the peacekeeper, right? Like establishing equanimity. And as an association exec, trust me, I'll go down paths that sometimes create conflict, or that necessary conflict. Or John Lewis used to say, "Good trouble," right? Like we need to get into good trouble. I use the phrase "good friction" at NGCOA oftentimes. So we're not afraid of friction in the name of accomplishing things, but equanimity is about establishing good feeling for everybody who's around that table and being inclusive. Who should be at this table, right? And I feel like my brain is always trying to look out to make sure, let's bring everybody we need to, have rich conversation, but at the end of the day, to feel this equanimity that everybody walks away feeling good about what we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's a great word. All right. Which talent would you most like to have?
Natural music talent. Like the natural ear. My father-in-law had, this amazing ear for music. My grandfather did. And my kids do. A natural ear where I could sit down and just play anything on piano, pick up a stringed instrument, and I study it to master it, and I love doing it. I love mastering it when I do, but it's a lot of work. So I wish I had that natural talent.
Yeah, that innate ability to just pick up something and play. Wow. All right, this might get you in trouble, but do you have a favorite public golf course and private golf course?
Okay. All right, so my favorite public golf course in America to play is Pebble Beach Golf Resort. And it's like, oh, well, that's a boring choice or an obvious choice, but there's just something special and historic about walking that acreage there and seeing the Pacific Ocean crash up against the holes. It's my favorite. I'm a sucker for it. So that's one. Private club experience, and I've been able to play some really good ones, and the one that comes to mind, and I have a kind of a class of, private clubs that I think are my favorite, and it's hard to compare but the one that sticks out to me is Lancaster Country Club in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. They played the U.S. Women's Open there twice in the last, 10 years. And I guess I didn't expect how wonderful this piece of land is. And every hole I walk up to see, I'm just like, oh man, look at this, it's so beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful. Just the right touch of hospitality there too. And I've got to play with really dear friends from NGCOA, so it made it all better. So when I look back and think that my number one private club that I would love to return to, if I could have a membership at any one of them, I would go back to that one. I would love to have a membership there, go back to there. And there are some ones that are ranked a lot higher that I'm fine playing once or twice in my life, and that's cool. But Lancaster is one I feel pulled to come back to.
Do you have a favorite designer? Like, does that go hand in hand with the favorite course?
It kind of does in that these designs from 100, 125 years ago. In Charleston, we've got two courses designed by Seth Rayner, and he's a famous designer from the early 20th century. Yeaman's Hall and the Country Club of Charleston here. My favorite walk in Charleston is Yeaman's Hall Club. It's a club that a lot of golfers never heard of, but it's a top 100 club, and it's here in the kind of sleepy suburbs of Charleston in Hanahan, South Carolina. And it's just because where the green is right next to the tee box, because this is before golf cars, and it's unspoiled land. You don't see houses hardly anywhere. Just it's a throwback. So I love the places that have preserved this classic throwback feel.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Classic throwback.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this has been wonderful. Just hearing your stories about your role, the volunteerism, what's happening in the world of golf and how technology is impacting it. This has been great. So thank you so much for being a guest on our podcast. And for all of you out there, I hope you enjoyed this as well, and be ready for the next one coming up in a few weeks.
And thank you. And we do appreciate Bostrom and all you do in the association world. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Jay. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.